2021 is unfolding to be another fantastic year for programmers as Python is portraying extremely strong trends as the top programming language in this year as well. Now, the advantage of Python is that it is used across hundreds of domains by millions of developers around the world. I am sure you would be on the lookout to understand the various career options available to you as a Python developer. Keeping exactly this in mind, we here at Great Learning have come up with this important video discussing the various Python career options in the year 2021. Make sure to watch till the end of this video to have a complete understanding of the salary trends and the future scope of the language as well. Alright guys, so what are we waiting for? My name is Anirudh Rao. Let's get started.
Before we get started, I want to introduce you to Great Learning Academy. This is a free initiative by Great Learning where you can have access to over 200 plus courses with 1000 plus hours of free content on all of the trending high demand domains absolutely free. Register now to complete the course and get your free certificate of completion as well. Check out the link in the description box of the video below for more details. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This is done to make sure you do not miss out on any of the new updates or video releases from Great Learning. And of course, guys, if you enjoy this video, show us some love and do like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, right? So make sure you share this video with your friends, colleagues, and everyone who can make use of it. And at the end of it, make sure to comment on the video if you have any queries or any suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to respond to all of your comments.
Now, quickly coming on to the agenda of today's session, Python career options in 2021, we have to understand a lot of different things when it comes to the various job roles that you'll have access to if you're becoming a Python developer. What are some of the salary trends that are associated with respect to these job roles? And also, guys, I am sure you'll have a question saying, hey, if I'm starting a career in Python, what is my future scope in terms of jobs, in terms of availability, in terms of access to high paying jobs at the same time as well, right? So we are going to discuss a lot there is to understand in this session, guys. So without further ado, let's quickly have a small introduction of Python and let's get started, right? Well, if you've clicked on this video, I am confident that you would know that Python is one of the most popular programming languages that we have in today's world. Right now, there are so many languages out there. There's C, there's C++, there's Java. But you have to understand that from the last couple of years, somewhere around 2010, 2011, all the way to 2021, Python is working so well that it has been deemed as the world's most popular language. Right now, it's not someone going and rating a language and saying it's the top language, but you have to understand that this is a language which is again being used by millions of developers across a lot of different domains, right? So let's just see what the experts have to say. Well, Forbes say that in the year 2021, Python programming is the most in-demand skill that's required. So whenever people are hiring for Python developers, or whenever even people are looking into the world of information technology, the most demanded skill is knowledge of Python. That is how big Python has become around us, right? Now, there's multiple reasons for that. Python is a fantastic programming language to work with. It's easy to use, and it makes your entire process of programming and your entire effort into very fruitful task without actually you having to put much effort. Right now, that if you have the ability to just use what I just said across every domain that there is out there, well, of course, the entire world would want to consider, right? So you should not have any doubts at this moment of time that with respect to Python, all the jobs that are associated with Python are really high paying jobs. And it's not just that there are jobs right now that will pay, but if you take a look at what will happen in the future as well, right, there is always a constant requirement. The IT market was down in the year 2020, March 2020 to be very specific. A lot of people were getting laid off. Now, when you take a look at what Python was doing in these moments where every other domain saw a little hit, you will be surprised to find that Python Python was still in demand when everyone, when I say everyone, when I mean these couple of domains where people were getting laid off, right? Those same companies were the ones that were hiring for Python developers at the same time as well. Now, this speaks volumes about Python's ingenuity, about Python's requirement in today's world, right? So with this, you might ask a question saying, okay, Anirudh, so why would I even want to learn Python when there are so many programming languages that are out there? Well, first of all, we've learned that when anything is trending, you usually try to understand the trend or you write it out, right? People usually prefer the latter. Now, the thing with Python is that it is the most searched programming language in today's world. So whenever someone goes on to search engines like Google, like Bing or anything like that, the programming language that they're searching for, be it for any purpose, right? They're just browsing for it because they're bored. Someone's doing it for research. Another person is doing it for a college project. People are doing it for their jobs. So there's many things. But at the end of the day, if you take a look at all the programming languages, at one point of time, Java was really the king of the programming language, right? I'm not saying Java is not as good as Python, but with the popularity, with the direction that the world is heading towards, right? Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so much more. All of these are the domains that Python thrives in right now. With that, you really should not have any doubt about why you should consider learning Python. Because if you're an enthusiast, Python is fantastic for you. Do you want to do some research? Well, of course, it's the preferred language for research on these domains as well. And the most important thing about a programming language is how easily can you convert your thoughts or your ideas into products, right? Prototype to product. Python will make sure that entire process is very simple for you. Be it small projects, be it large projects, or enterprise grade solutions, right? Now, I'm going to show you all the companies that use Python, and you'll be very surprised to understand Python is literally being used everywhere. So, of course, this means that there are high paying jobs, and at the same time, there is constant demand as well. But the most important thing that we have to consider for this huge demand is the fact that Python gives you these career options that no other domain will give, right? If you are an expert in Python, you can move towards web development. There's multiple different libraries out there like Flask, Django, Beautiful Soup, and much more, wherein you can, thrive there itself, right? But then if you're more of a big data person, of course, we have PySpark. We have so many frameworks, libraries, and the support for the entire world of big data that Python provides is superb, right? If you want to go to big data, well, with the knowledge of Python, you definitely can. And the next thing that we're going to take a look at is game development as well. Now, when you take a look at game development, mostly we're used to playing games, but of course, I'm sure that viewers among yourselves, are game developers as well. And of course, with respect to Python, there's multiple frameworks, be it Pygame or any such as well. Now, it's not just game development, it's not just big data. Whenever we talk about user experience development, or of course the domain of data science, right? Now, data science is such a huge domain. When we talk data science, we literally mean everything from the creation of data all the way to analysis, result, AI, ML, right? Now, all of these usually comes under the same header, most of the time under the same umbrella called data science. Now, if there is one programming language that can handle this entire thing, you guessed it right? So Python is absolutely fantastic for all of these reasons. And when you take a look at who uses Python, right? If you guys are using Mozilla Firefox, if you're watching this YouTube video, from Firefox, I can assure you that the Firefox that's working in your machine right now is using somewhere around 250,000 lines of code that is completely written in Python, right? It's not just Mozilla, it's not just Firefox. You literally have the top companies in the entire world using core Python for their day-to-day activities, right? Everyone from Google, Facebook, Reddit, Quora, NASA, Dropbox, Spotify, all the way to PayPal and Uber as well, right? Now, it's a very simple thing that we open the app, find an Uber, get into a cab and move around the city or something. But you have to understand that there is so much of Python working in the back end that is simplifying your task of having the most fun and convenient way of booking yourself a cab, right? It's not just this. Python is not just being used, in fact, on Earth or on the planet. There are multiple satellites out in space that use Python code, right? So again, when you think about it, this is an interstellar programming language as well, right? Now, I'm just kidding, but you have to understand that right from all of these giants to small companies to people working on projects, and in fact even government agencies prefer using Python for multiple options that it provides across the board. Right now, this is a very important thing you have to understand. If I'm just saying that, hey, all these companies are hiring, of course, if you take a look at all the job postings there are on websites like Indeed.com or LinkedIn, you will understand as soon as you type a Python developer's role, or of course the other career options that I'm about to show you right now, if you search for them, you will understand there's so many jobs for all of you all to access, right? So without further ado, let us actually dive right into the heart of the topic to understand some of these various job roles that we will have, right? Of course, if you're talking about the job role, the popularity of the language is again the primary thing we'll have to talk about. Look at all these job roles or designations, as you might call them, on your screen right now. A software developer's role, a web developer's role, a data analyst's role, data scientist's role, ML engineer's role, and an AI engineer's role as well. Now, some of these jobs are the most coveted jobs in the entire world out there. In the world of information technology, right? There's many things you would have read about being a data scientist. There's many things, super fun things that you would have read about being a web developer, or of course the fantastic products you can build as an artificial intelligence engineer as well, right? Now, all of these things, even though they are fundamentally different from each other, there is Python that really binds them and brings them together, right? So without further ado, let us discuss all of these job roles quickly so that you guys have a complete understanding of them, right? Now, the first job role that we'll talk about is a Python developer's role. Now, when you say you're a Python developer, there is no compulsion that you're supposed to be associated with the domain, right? A Python developer can be working on a product which is based on data science. You can be working on a product that uses cloud computing. You can be working on an application which is basically using for web development, mobile app development, or something like that. So Python will literally see itself fit everywhere. And as a Python developer, especially as a Python developer, you will have access to any number of domains out there, right? Now, you can verify what I said just by heading to these job hunting sites and just typing in Python developer. You will see that even though the designation is called a Python developer's role, you will have access to so many subdomains in which you will become a developer, right? If you take a look at how trending this particular designation or job role or career option is, this entire development sort of, right from 2012 all the way to 13, 14, 15, and right from 15, it is just skyrocketing, right? There is literally no catching Python, and these job roles again have been trending for a really, really long time. And there are surveys which says that this will still remain trending for the next 5 years. Now, to say a statement as bold as that in the world of information technology, it takes a lot of data, and of course, it takes a lot of what would you say, the strength in Python to get there, right? And of course, Python is proving just like that. But then you have to note something about being a Python developer is that you really need to have some proficiency working with web frameworks, and of course, ORM as well, right? Now, ORM, working with web frameworks and handling a good amount of data is usually common to a Python developer across multiple domains. So having these skills will definitely give you access to this fantastic career option. Right? Superb. Let's take a look at the next career option that you guys have as a person who can work with Python, right? A web developer's role. Now, a web developer's role, if you consider Python, is extremely popular. I'll tell you why. Think about the number of websites that are out there. A very quick Google search will tell you how many millions of websites we have out there, right? So having these many sites, now there are people who are starting up. There are people who are, trying to sell their own products on their website. There are companies who want websites, startups that want websites, individuals who want websites, content creators want websites, right? Everyone wants a website these days. So having the ability to provide all of that and to cater to this extreme demand is the reason why a web developer's role is super popular, right? But then, of course, to get to this point, you'll really have to work on HTML, CSS, cascading style sheets, JavaScript, and so much more, right? So you're going to have hands-on working experience with this as well. And if you call yourself a web developer, it is not just the design or the elements that you present on the screen. You also will have to have interest to work on a server-side logic, and you'll have to work with graphical user interface libraries as well. Now, one very nice GUI library in Python is tkinter. So if you are looking towards a web developer's role, understand that it is not just the developing what you would probably see on a website, but the entire thing that makes web development possible, right? So this career option is literally available all the time, no matter in which country you stay or what job experience level you're applying for. Because across the board, right from freshers to thorough professionals, web developers are required around the world. So this is a fantastic option for all of you all who are considering web development, right? And then coming to the job roles or the career options that is making Python exponentially explode, right? That's the word I want to say, exponentially explode, because these are the domains. For example, being a data analyst, now data analysis is such a huge domain, as in to handle a large amount of data, to work with the concepts of it, you have to make sure that your programming language is not hard to work with, right? Handling a large amount of data takes a lot of tweaking, tuning, and performance tweaks in the programming language so that you can do it easily. Now, of course, as a data analyst, you're going to be doing all of this and more, right? So you have to understand one thing. When we're talking about handling the elephant in the room, which is a data analysis role, you're going to require a programming language which is fundamentally strong, which can handle the concepts of mathematics, statistics, and all of that, right? And of course, with respect to Python, we have libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Scikit-learn. You have thousands of libraries in Python that will eventually make sure that your task as a data analyst is easier and that you can concentrate more on actually solving the problem, hunting down the logic rather than breaking your head about the syntax, right? And of course, do I really have to talk about the role of a data analyst being the top careers of all time? Now, when you think about a data analyst role, there is always a good amount of demand, because again, this is another role which can be used everywhere. If you have a person who just started up and he or she is selling chocolates, well, you can sit and analyze the sales, you can take a look at forecasting, you can do a lot of modeling, you can do a lot of things, right? I just gave you one example. Now think about a person who's trying to use this for research. Someone else is doing prototyping. There is another person who's doing this to build an app, to build a product, right? Now there is literally no bounds to where data analysis can be used or where it cannot be. Now when that is the case in the generalized world of IT, you should not be surprised about Python's presence in a data analyst's role, right? Fantastic. Now we spoke about data analysis. Let us talk about an even bigger career option, which is a data scientist's role. Well, to get it off the bat, guys, you might have heard this about a data scientist role. It's called one of the hottest careers of all time, right? I'm sorry for the informal language, but that is what people are calling Python the hottest career of all time. Now, when you take a look at it and when you think about it that way, why is the reason a data scientist role is considered the hottest, right? Well, as I just told you, data science involves everything right from data ingestion all the way to data manipulation, machine learning, AI, data analysis, results, visualization, business intelligence. All of these comes under the same domain. As a data scientist, I can assure you that there is no better tool than Python to have in your skill set to tackle this particular domain. But then, of course, to become a data scientist and to work on all of these things that I just mentioned, you have to have knowledge about how you can first of all perform data analysis, data interpretation, data manipulation, and a lot more as well, right? But since we also spoke about machine learning algorithms and their usage, since machine learning is considered to come under the same umbrella of data scientists, some job roles out there with the same designation of a data scientist might also ask you for your proficiency in handling complex machine learning algorithms. So make sure that you have that covered if you're looking for this career option as well. All right, superb. Once we are clear with the data science aspect of things, we'll come to a granular level where we'll have to understand one superly popular, extremely popular job role, which is basically a machine learning engineer's role, right? Now, working on a small machine learning project or doing it for the purpose of learning, or you're just getting started, it'll feel like it is superb easy. Now, will this remain the same even though you're working on extremely complex concepts? The answer is absolutely yes, right? It doesn't mean that Python syntax will become harder just because of the fact that your project is handling a lot more data or it's become more complex in its logic. No, right? So even when you're talking about enterprise levels, as in the Fortune 500 companies using Python, using core Python for their daily activities, machine learning is just another concept that Python handles with ease as well, right? But then of course, guys, if you're working towards becoming a machine learning engineer, you really need proficiency on the likes of working with libraries such as TensorFlow and scikit-learn. Now, TensorFlow is usually a little bit popular for deep learning rather than machine learning, but we have seen multiple job roles where they ask for your proficiency on TensorFlow as well. Of course, you really have to know scikit-learn, because scikit-learn is literally the most important machine learning library we have in Python, right? It's not just you knowing how to use these libraries, it's all about you understanding how these algorithms work, where they can be used best, and of course, how well can they be tweaked and tuned to make sure you have the most intelligent algorithm or program out there, right? It's not just about intelligence, it's about efficiency at the same time. And as always, guys, I really don't have to iterate this anymore. I think a machine learning engineer's role is super popular because every company out there, especially in the last 5 years, now that they know machine learning is extremely powerful, everyone wants a bit of ML in their companies. Everyone wants a bit of ML in their products, no matter what. Right now, when a situation is like that, of course, all of the companies are going on a hiring spree, and you can see the same across surveys and all these job sites and the trends that they've been portraying for the last 5 years as well, right? So of course, it is being used across the board. It will be used across the board even 5 years from now, is in my opinion. Now, coming to one fantastic role, which is again just like an ML engineer's role, this one is also exploding. It is an artificial intelligence engineer's role, a fantastic career option, and in fact, I would say a top career option to have in this year as well, right? Now, when you're thinking about Python, again, as I've been saying, Python is built with a purpose to handle a large amount of data with ease. It is built with a purpose to tackle even the most complex artificial intelligence systems that we have in today's world, right? And it really shouldn't come as a surprise to you that artificial intelligence is the future. In fact, we're using AI everywhere around us, from our smartwatches to our phones to our laptops and to the fan that is just spinning over my head right now. Right now, all of these are smart devices. They know what's going on. They can sense the temperature, turn on, and there are so many things that you can do, right? I'm just giving you 2 examples. So when you have to go on to build fascinating applications that are futuristic, it'll take a programming language and the skills of a programmer to the next level. And of course, Python steps in just like another day, just like another Wednesday, and eventually handles all of this with ease, right? So AI is now, AI is the future, and of course, Python is right there along the way, hand-holding AI and bringing us the best applications we have seen. So as a person who's looking forward to becoming an AI engineer, I highly suggest you have proficiency on the skills of data modeling, data handling, and even the concepts of handling large amounts of data, working with databases, knowing how you would not only just bring in a large amount of data to work for your AI application, but also knowing the most efficient way, the most memory efficient, performance efficient way to do the same, right? Well, with respect to AI, with respect to Python and all the libraries that Python has to offer, it will give you the complete capability to handle even the most complex AI we have today. Think about self-driving cars. Think about something very simple, a very tiny mini project, for example, all the way to having cars drive themselves. Well, every one of these use Python, and I'm sure with the future prospects of AI and with the future prospects of Python, you will have an absolute blast to take a look at this particular role. And knowing that Python is popular, easy to use, and fantastic for this entire application is a bonus, right? Well, now that we've spoken about 5 or 6 fantastic career options that you guys can have, and knowing that you can have all of these in Python, you might also be curious to understand, hey, so what are some of the salary trends that we can have access to if you're working on these programming languages, right? Well, the most important thing that I have to talk to you about is that the highest paying IT careers that we have in today's world, right? Now, of course, there's many IT careers out there. There's hundreds of job designations that you can hold, and again, hundreds of career options as well. But the most important thing here is that most of these highest paying IT companies or IT careers or whatever it is, they make use of core Python, right? So of course, with this, the average salary, the demand, everything just keeps shooting up and up with every single year. Now, take a look at your screen. I have for you the average annual salary for all of these designations we discussed. And of course, I have one more designation as a DevOps engineer as well. Now, these are average salaries that you see on the screen, right? So when you talk about an average salary, you talk about the lowest number, you talk about the highest number, you just squish them into the average, and the numbers that are presented to you are done in this way. So if you're taking a look at a data scientist role and you think that, hey, so do I only get 7 lakhs as a fresher data scientist? Absolutely not. So it might be a fact that this number was accounted for by taking a lower end of 4, by taking in a higher end of maybe 13, 14 lakhs per annum as well, right? Of course, it shouldn't surprise you that freshers are having access to really high paying jobs today because of the fact that it's again in demand, it's very popular, everyone wants it. So if you are a person who's skilled enough to provide exactly what is required by the companies, they are ready to pay you what you ask for as well. But to divide it slightly to give you more clarity about it, when you think about experience, right, this is where we usually divide the Python salary trends into 3 parts. One for freshers, the other one for mid-tier developers, maybe 2-3 years down the job line. And of course, we have thorough professionals and experts in Python as well, right? Now take a look at the median salary for freshers in Python, somewhere around 4.5 lakhs per annum in India. And of course, if you're taking a look at the mid-tier salaries, again, just the mid-tier salaries itself are very close to 10 lakhs per annum, right? Now, understanding that with 1 or 2 years of experience, you'll have access to a job which will pay you 10-12 lakhs per annum is absolutely fantastic. And again, this is a median value, right? There is a lower number and there is a really high number as well, guys. You have to know that this is super important. Now, you should be asking me a question. I said 3 different categories of, us dividing it. So what about highly experienced developers? What can you guys expect? Well, as a highly experienced developer, I think it should really not surprise you guys anymore that you will have access to the highest paying careers of all time, or highest paying programming jobs out there in the entire market. Now, the entire world is still hiring for C developers, C++ developers, C# developers, Java developers, and so much more. But as a person who's a thorough expert in Python, you can literally go and ask for a package, and there's a very good chance people there will actually give you the package, right? Now, this is super important for you to understand because you will probably start your career as a fresher. So 5-6 years down the line, you would definitely want to know what is on the end of the tunnel, what is at the end of the tunnel if you guys actually go on to take this up really seriously, right? Well, if you take it up really seriously, understand that there is a fantastically bright light at the end of the tunnel, which is again you guys having access to not just the most highest paying job roles, but of course you guys might have ambitions saying, hey, I want to be a part of Google, I want to be a part of Facebook, I want to work for Spotify, something like that, right? So if you have these dreams and aspirations, you can definitely go on to fulfill them, and while doing that, you can make a good amount of money as well, right? Super. Now, with that discussion done, we have checked out the various career options you guys can consider with Python in the year 2021. We also took a look at a good amount of salary trends, but you might have a question that might need answering, which says, hey, what is the future scope of Python? So I think after all these discussions of job trends and salary trends and all of that, I think it is important for you guys to know that the future is being built on the concepts, on the foundations of concepts such as AI, machine learning, and so much more, right? Now, if you're talking about AI and ML, Python is literally the foundation there. So understanding that, hey, if even though you might be a web developer today, well, maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, web development can become super smart in a way where AI will see itself work with web development there too, right? So it's not just that just because of AI and ML, Python is becoming popular, but for the fact that AI and ML exist and that Python can provide really easy access for you guys to work on these domains, I think the future of Python is super bright, right? Now, if you take a look at all these surveys, all these research, everyone that are trying to understand the trends, in fact, let us consider one simple example like NASSCOM. So according to the experts at NASSCOM, they believe that the Indian IT industry is expected to close the fiscal year 2021 with over 1,38,000 new new Python developer hires, right? Now, we're literally saying that, hey, just until September or November, we're going to be hiring 138. Now, of course, the fiscal year started late 2020 as well, and I am absolutely sure we are probably going to beat this number of 138 and eventually touch even higher numbers. Now, with that, the total employee base in India is somewhere around 4.47 million in terms of Python developers, right? Now, you have to be surprised by this number, knowing that Python is so popular. At the end of the day, all the companies, be it research-based, product-based, service-based, all of these guys definitely want to use Python, and if you are there at the right moment to provide the skills that they look out for, you will have access to the highest paying jobs of all time, right? Superb, guys. With this, we have come to the end of this session. Now, it becomes super important for you to understand that there are many career options available to you guys in the year 21, and knowing that with Python, you have not just limited access to these domains, but really understanding that Python is core and it's functional in all these domains is super important, right? So with that, we checked out the various career options you guys can have, the salary trends, and even discussed a little bit about the future scope of Python. So I hope that this video was super helpful to all of you all. With this, we come to the end of it. My name is Anirudh Rao. I'll see you on the next one.
I want to introduce you to Great Learning Academy. This is a free initiative by Great Learning where you can have access to over 200 plus courses with 1000 plus hours of free content on all of the trending high demand domains, absolutely free. Register now to complete the course and get your free certificate of completion as well. Check out the link in the description box of the video below for more details. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, I want to request you to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. This is done to make sure you do not miss out on any of the new updates or video releases from Great Learning. And of course, guys, if you enjoy this video, show us some love and do like this video. Knowledge increases by sharing, right? So make sure you share this video with your friends, colleagues, and everyone who can make use of it. And at the end of it, make sure to comment on the video if you have any queries or any suggestions, and I'll be more than happy to respond to all of your comments.